This is Springtrap running one of his most popular add-ons, Restaurant Menu, and this is Springtrap without it. Can you actually tell the difference? Because I used to think this add-on was amazing until I saw what it did side by side. And that's the issue. Do you actually know what your add-ons do? Or are you just running them because some creator told you they're good? I'm a massive Otzdarva fan. Some people actually call me the Wish.com Otzdarva.
Hello friends.
And usually I go straight to his website to get build and add-on advice. In fact, Otz himself has Restaurant Menu as Springtrap's single best add-on. This add-on right here. No offense to the legend, but looking at this footage, there's no way this is his best add-on. And it goes to show why a video like this is so important. You shouldn't have to read a page-long description to understand how his add-ons work. You really need to see them with your own two eyes. That's why you're about to watch the most comprehensive add-on guide ever created for Springtrap. I've broken down all his add-ons into 5 distinct groups that fit completely different playstyles. But if you're anything like me, you've probably been using the wrong add-ons this entire time. Let's fix that, starting with our first category. If you like running any of these 5 add-ons on screen right now, you're probably a BubbleTrap. To make this playstyle work, your axe cannot be in hand, and it definitely can't be buried in a survivor's back. It needs to be strategically planted into the environment to create a massive AoE zone. Let's start with an add-on not a lot of people use, Party Hat. Party Hat increases the maximum size of your AoE by 250%, but in exchange, it reduces the duration of the AoE by 20%. When you look at what the add-on does side by side with the base kit version, the difference is actually massive, but the real issue is, do you really need an AoE this big? Once you get comfortable with exactly where and when to strategically throw Springtrap's axe, you really don't need a bubble this large to get value from his AoE. On top of that, this add-on does virtually nothing on its own unless you pair it with another add-on from this exact same category. For that reason, Party Hat is mid, but you might actually squeeze some real value out of it when you pair it up with Chica's Bib. With Chica's Bib, survivors inside your AoE suffer from the exhausted status effect, which lingers for 5 seconds after they leave the bubble. Here's the thing, in a world where every survivor and their brother is running an exhaustion perk, I am never gonna hate on an add-on that makes them exhausted. I just wish this one had a little more impact on the game. You're really not gonna prevent sprint bursts because good survivors are just gonna pre-run before your axe comes anywhere near them. So realistically, you're only using this to counter Lithe and maybe Dead Hard. I could definitely see this add-on being a lot more annoying for survivors when paired up with the massive range of Party Hat, but on its own, Chica's Bib is mid. Foxy's Hook is probably the most popular BubbleTrap add-on, and honestly, it might also be his most controversial. It gives anyone inside your AoE a 7% haste boost, but that applies for both you and survivors, making it a massive double-edged sword. When you look at what the haste does for only the killer side by side, it's amazing. You can chase down survivors so much faster, but that's only if the survivor doesn't also take advantage of the boost. Most competent survivors will run through your AoE at the very start of the match just to see if you have Foxy's Hook equipped, and once they know, it makes your chases a lot more difficult going forward. Some Springtrap mains actually really hate this add-on for that exact reason, but I still think it can be highly effective. Like, not only can you get value in chases, you can also use it to traverse the map a lot quicker. I've used this add-on so much that I'm completely Foxy brained. I will instinctively walk through my own AoE just out of pure muscle memory. It's one of my favorite add-ons, but because survivors get the exact same benefit, it can hurt you just as much as it helps you. For that reason, Foxy's Hook isn't amazing, it's just good. Endo CPU is another one of Springtrap's more popular add-ons, and I think it's for good reason. It increases your action speeds for breaking and damaging by 40% when you're in your AoE. So basically, you're getting a better version of Brutal Strength for free. And when you look at how quickly you can break a pallet side by side with the base kit version, the visual difference is massive. This seems like a slam dunk add-on, right? Well, let me ask you this. How many of you are actually running Brutal Strength on Springtrap? Probably not many, because breaking pallets with him isn't always necessary. Endo CPU technically can get value in any match. If I'm on an indoor map or a map with tall walls around loot loops, I'm incredibly thankful to have Endo CPU equipped. But if the map has like shorter tiles like Fazbear's Pizzeria, it honestly feels kind of pointless. I still think Endo CPU is one of Springtrap's better add-ons, but just like Foxy's hook, it leaves you wishing you just had a little more consistency. Endo CPU is good. The Rotten Pizza is the final BubbleTrap add-on, and it increases the duration of Killer Instinct from your fire axe by 100%. When you look at this add-on side by side, you can definitely see the difference, but it's just not very helpful in a match. I don't really know anyone that relies on Killer Instinct that heavily while playing Springtrap, so while you do get tracking for a little bit longer, the only logical use is trying to read someone through a tall wall add a loop, and that's about it. Save your add-on slot. Rotten Pizza is bad. While BubbleTrap players have mastered the art of purposely missing their axes, this next category requires an unforgivable amount of precision. If you're running any of these 5 add-ons, you're probably a HitTrap. You aren't looking to set AoE zones, you're looking to maximize the lethality of every single hit. And there's no better place to start than with the most diabolical add-on of this entire group, Loot Bag. When a survivor has an axe lodged in them, Loot Bag completely blocks the exit gates for that survivor and any other survivor within 12 meters of them. This endgame add-on is the ultimate counter to toxic teabagging survivors at the exit gate, and it's easily led to some of my most satisfying clips. Normally, I'm not a big fan of endgame perks or add-ons, but for whatever reason, this one just hits a little different. Let's be honest, Springtrap isn't exactly an S-tier killer, meaning the majority of your matches are naturally gonna reach the endgame. Having this add-on equipped will generally secure you at least one more kill. It might upgrade a loss into a draw, or a draw into a win, but it could also do nothing at all. Because Springtrap lacks a single dominant add-on that you have to run, I really don't mind keeping this add-on in my back pocket, because you never know when a survivor is gonna need to be humbled. Loot Bag is good. The Celebrate poster is another deadly add-on in a HitTrap's arsenal. After hitting a survivor with your axe, anyone within 32 meters gains 12% haste and vaults 20% faster. So basically, once you land a hit, both you and the survivor are suddenly playing in super speed. While giving a survivor a speed boost sounds like a terrible idea, that 12% haste actually benefits the killer a lot more since your base movement speed is already faster than theirs. But the real magic of this add-on is how it messes with the survivor's ability to loop. Like normally, when you double back at a tile, a good survivor has like that split second to recognize it and adjust. But when everything is happening 12% faster, that reaction window completely shrinks. It becomes a lot harder for them to read and react to your mind games in real time. This add-on used to be an absolute S-tier pick back in the PTB when it applied a 20% haste bonus, but honestly, even post-nerf, the Celebrate poster is undeniably good. Office Phone applies both Oblivious and Broken to anyone within 24 meters of a survivor with an axe in them. This is just a fun and chaotic add-on that you'll get consistent value from the entire match. But let's be real, I would say it's more annoying than oppressive though. Springtrap is a pretty loud killer, so even with the Oblivious status effect hiding your terror radius, you aren't exactly going to be super stealthy sneaking up on people. However, the Broken status effect is kind of a nice effect to keep survivors injured. That kind of acts as a passive slowdown. There is one debuff tied to this add-on though. It decreases the time it takes a survivor to remove a fire axe from a different survivor by 50%. And when I saw this, I had to do a double take. I had absolutely zero idea that you could pull a fire axe out of someone else. Mostly because I feel like no one in the history of the game ever does this. So I guess one benefit of testing these add-ons is I learned something new. The Office Phone is mid. The purple guy drawing does two things. First, while a survivor has an axe embedded in them, their aura is revealed to you for 3 seconds whenever they performed a rushed action. Second, after they remove the axe, their aura is revealed to you for 6 seconds. Both of these effects are solid. The aura reading at tiles is definitely nice, but in almost every case, I would rather just have the Celebrate poster to help win those those mind games. The aura reading once a survivor removes their axe can be helpful to line up your next shot as well. You know, like if they're not in your direct line of sight already. Plus, if you pair this add up with Lethal Pursuer, it does feel like you get a fair bit of value from it. But at the end of the day, there's several options in this group that are better at ending chases. And for that reason, the purple guy drawing is mid. Next, we have the Greasy Paper Plate, which increases the time it takes a survivor to remove the axe out of them by 15%. And honestly, this effect is pretty useless. There are plenty of times where you actually want the survivor to take their axe out. Like if a good survivor's at a strong tile, they're gonna want to hold your axe anyways. They want to force you to take the axe back yourself, which takes time. When you look at the removal time side by side, this add-on just does barely anything at all. I mean, common add-ons are usually pretty weak in general, but this one is a complete waste. The Greasy Paper Plate is awful. While hit traps rely on pinpoint precision, their close relatives take a completely different approach. If you're running any of these three add-ons on screen right now, then you're probably in AxeTrap. This playstyle is all about directly modifying the core throwing mechanic, and there's no better place to start than with the ultimate beginner add-on, Help Wanted Add. Help Wanted Add shows you the trajectory of Springtrap's axe, and for anyone who's never played Springtrap before, or maybe they just play a lot of Huntress, I highly recommend this add-on for exactly one game. There's definitely some value to seeing how the axe physics work, but outside of that initial learning curve, this add-on just clutters your screen and gets in your way. So while it can be helpful for brand new players just learning the mechanics, this add-on has zero long-term value, and for that reason, Help Wanted Add is bad. Restaurant Menu is probably the most popular AxeTrap add-on, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to run this one all the time. Restaurant Menu reduces the time it takes to retrieve your axe by 10%, and because it's a common add-on, it was an easy one just to slap on any build that you were running. A lot of content creators told me this add-on was good, and I just took their word for it. But when I actually took it into the lab and tested it side by side, I realized the truth. You get your axe back a split second before you normally would. I think this add-on was just kind of like a placebo effect this entire time, and I'm not throwing shade on creators who think that this add-on's good. I think it just highlights the importance of putting these add-ons to the test and seeing what they actually do with your own two eyes. Restaurant Menu is bad. Freddy's Hat increases the weight of your axe by 100%, and this is definitely trying to be one of those add-ons that creates a new playstyle, kind of like how the Unknown has the discarded milk carton, but the main difference is that discarded milk carton actually provides some real tangible benefit, where Freddy's Hat just severely handicaps you. And when you look at the throw distance side by side, it's obvious that this add-on is way more of a hindrance than anything. Like the only thing I can think this would be good for is at like tiles, making it a little easier to hit shots over tiles, but it just doesn't feel needed, especially when Springtrap has orbitals in his kit. And not saying those are easy to hit, but you don't need to use Freddy's Hat. I'd be interested to see if any Springtrap players out there are using Freddy's Hat, but for me and probably most Springtrap players, Freddy's Hat is bad. So after we debunked the restaurant menu, the AxeTrap add-ons are actually pretty underwhelming. Because of that, a lot of people prefer to shift their focus entirely, utilizing his security doors as their primary source of map pressure. And if that sounds like your playstyle, then you're probably what I like to call a door trap. And to lock down the map effectively, door traps are probably using these four add-ons on screen. Bonnie's guitar strings seem to be door trap's best friend. The intensity of the generator's auras reveals the current repair progress. This add-on actually used to be even better before it caught a nerf. That nerf completely removed the undetectable status that you get when exiting a door. So now you're basically trading stealth for information. And while I don't think Springtrap is the stealthiest killer by any means, I'm just not the biggest fan of this trade-off. Because you come blasting out of the door like the Kool-Aid Man, survivors see you coming from a mile away and just pre-run. I will admit I'm probably a little biased here because I really don't rely on his doors all that often, because I personally feel like if you're comfortable with the macro gameplay and if you feel like you have a strong natural map sense, I don't think you need to use this add-on. But I also can acknowledge that the vast majority of players probably find this information helpful. If it were strictly up to my own playstyle, I would say this add-on is mid, but looking at it for the general player base, I would say Bonnie's guitar strings is good. And speaking of add-ons that have taken a bit of a hit, the security badge has also received some nerfs from its original form. The security badge extends the duration of your undetectable status by 25%. This used to be a 50% extension, broken, but even post nerf, when you look at what it does side by side, I would say it's still absolutely worth running. If you like to utilize his stealth mechanics coming out of security doors, you will benefit from having this add-on equipped. I would say the security badge is good. Streamers is supposed to increase your movement speed by 15% going through doors, but I'm fairly certain this add-on is bugged. When you look at what it does side by side, there's virtually no difference. I actually had to go back and check the raw footage just to confirm I remembered to put this add-on on, and I did have it on, but either it does very little or it's bugged. It's one of the two. Save yourself the headache. Do not run it. Streamers is awful. Access panel is the final DoorTrap add-on, and it's a little bit controversial. With this add-on, your fire axe can travel through security doors and will exit straight through the connected door. Additionally, when you're aiming the axe, survivors within 6 meters of any security door will trigger Killer Instinct. At first glance, a lot of people thought this was just a meme add-on, strictly just meant for hitting wild trick shots across map, but it can actually be a lot more than that. You get free information anytime you wind up your axe, and you can even throw it through your door to get even more information. This add-on can be amazing, or it can be completely useless. It really depends on where your doors actually spawn, and the toughest part is that you have to be highly skilled to truly capitalize on it. It might be a great pick for top tier players who have mastered the add-on, but for the vast majority of players, Access Panel is mid. While the previous 4 playstyles completely focus directly on Springtrap's core strengths, this final playstyle is all about throwing the rulebook out the window and keeping survivors constantly guessing. If your goal is to keep the other side completely uncomfortable the entire trial, you're probably a ChaosTrap. And to fuel the unpredictable playstyle, you'll be utilizing these 3 add-ons. Fazcoin causes your axe to emit a terror radius until it's retrieved. We've mentioned multiple times now that Springtrap isn't a quiet killer. This add-on does a pretty good job of keeping survivors confused, and while they'll probably eventually catch on that your terror radius is on the axe and not you, you can capitalize in the early game to build up some free pressure. For an iridescent add-on, I will admit I'm a little bit underwhelmed, but if you're looking to play off meta and just want to mess with people, you should definitely try out this add-on. Fazcoin is good. The iridescent remnant is Springtrap's other iridescent add-on, and honestly, this one also leaves something to be desired. Upon exiting your security door, it blocks all pallets within 32 meters for 12 seconds, and when I tested it, 32 meters is actually quite a massive difference, but smart survivors will still pre-run to escape to another tile. On top of that, like, pallets aren't super effective against Springtrap to begin with. If a survivor tries to sit on a pallet and wait for a stun, they're gonna get punished with an axe hit, and because of that threat, a lot of survivors will just pre-drop pallets against Springtrap the same way they might against Huntress, and when that happens, this add-on does absolutely nothing. I'm sure it might catch someone off guard if they don't know what this add-on does. Like in a game I played with my chat, they thought it was actually blood favor, but once that gig is up, it just doesn't really justify an add-on slot. The iridescent remnant is mid. Ripped Curtain causes survivors hit with the fire axe to suffer from the hemorrhage and mangled status effect for 60 seconds, and I'm gonna be honest, at first I completely wrote this add-on off, mainly just because I don't lean on the hit and run playstyle when I play Springtrap. I originally had this ranked pretty low, but then Carjam told me to give it another try, and once I adjusted my playstyle, I definitely got a lot more value than I initially expected. Because survivors can't heal and reset as easily, pairing this add-on with solid map pressure can really help you snowball a match out of control. You might just have to adjust your playstyle a little bit to maximize its potential. But this add-on's definitely underrated. It might not be a fit for everyone's build, but Ripped Curtain is good. Well, there you have it. Every single one of Springtrap's add-ons thoroughly tested and ranked. I really do think it helps to go into the lab and see what these add-ons are actually doing side by side, because for the longest time I was running some pretty terrible add-ons just because everyone else was running them. So if you found this breakdown helpful at all, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment down below and let me know which killers add-ons you want to see side by side next. And finally, if you want to see this exact same side by side comparison done on Sadako's add-ons, click this video right here.